Today we're going to talk a little bit about questions. So we talk a lot about this, whether it be from a leadership perspective, whether it be from a technician perspective. We talk a lot about asking the right questions. How do we pose a question so that we get to the true answer or the true problem or the real solution, if you will? And it's a very difficult skill. It's one that we spend an inordinate amount of time teaching and honing, and oftentimes when we come up short, it's due to a lack of questions being asked. Whatever it is, whatever your job duty is, and we have a kind of a scattering of different departments, which is awesome here. So I'll try to make it as as apt examples as possible. But we're all asking questions of others, whether it be leadership, whether it be a technician, as we said. And some of the most important questions we ask are not to others, but to ourselves. As we can all probably think back on times when self-talk either got us into a bad situation or may have helped us out of a bad situation into a good situation. And self-talk, and we've talked numerous times before how powerful the brain is. It can trick you. It wants to keep you safe and it wants to keep you comfortable. However, we know that in order to grow, we've got to kind of venture out there into the unknown, sometimes as it relates to questions. Ask that question that we may be a little bit fearful of getting an answer to. We may not know how to ask the question. So as we talk today, I was able to find a podcast, as I talked many a times, by Maxwell, who talks about 10 questions I ask myself as a leader. I don't know that I'll get through all 10, but we'll see how we do. My guess is about 6. So I thought 5, and then I was like, I could have some more. So I've got all 10 here. I'm probably going to make it through 6, which will make a riveting cliffhanger for the next time that we do this, and we unveil the rest of them. As we teach technicians, as we teach leadership, trying to find those right questions. And when we're talking about ourselves, what are those right questions that we're asking ourselves? What are we passionate about? What do we love? What should we be doing in this situation? Where should we be directing our energy? What should we be doing to grow? I'm sure we've all asked ourselves those questions at one time or another. I asked myself that question this morning at about 2 a.m., going, why in God's name am I doing this? And it's very easy to understand and to see that life happens, right? And life causes us to probably have answers to the same exact question. At different points in our life, we may have a different answer for what that question is. But ultimately, questions are going to create the environment in which we live. And what do I mean by that? So as I was thinking through this, one of the things that I kind of got stumped myself on was one area that I continually work on in my own kind of leadership journey, if you will, is how to ask the right questions. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's not always, you don't know how to pose a question. It's oftentimes easier to ask a yes or no question, which leads oftentimes nowhere. And you never get to the proper thing. So I started thinking, I was like, well, okay, if I'm going to stand up here and talk about this, and I struggle, and we're talking about kind of self-talk and how we get ourselves in the right frame of mind, how do I do that? What are those things? And I struggle just like everybody as far as like, do I want to get up this morning? Do I want to go do this? Do I want to have this hard conversation? Do I want to, go work out? Whatever it may be, we all go through the same thing. And so what I kind of boiled it down to, and this may help some of you with the questioning part, is I was like, I don't know what the right questions to ask are. And what I came up with, and what I'll try to allude to as we kind of work through these questions, is how do you create the right type of environment? So it's not always a question in question sense. It's not always like, well, how do I come up with this great question that I can ask myself and really get myself to ponder? It's more so, how do I create an environment where I'm questioning, where I'm saying, hey, yeah, I probably should go work out, or I understand that, or yeah, I probably should avoid, the unhealthy meal, or I probably should, spend some extra time with the kids, or whatever it may be, personal or professional. How do you create that environment? What are those resources that you utilize to create that environment? Everybody's been in that state where you're just like, I'm kicking some ass. I'm doing real well here. This is great. I'm talking to the people. I'm leading like I should. My marriage is great. The kids are doing good. Like, this is where I want to be all the time. I want to be in the zone. Well, how do we create that? And I think some of these questions are a means to get us in that place. If we can always be asking ourselves these questions, always be trying to understand, okay, where do I stand in relation to this? Where do I stand here? How am I thinking about this? I think it'll draw us closer to creating that environment on a more consistent basis. Because at the end of the day, success is a matter of consistently acting in a certain manner. It's not a destination. You're not going to get there one day. You're not going to get there at the end of the month or the end of the year or whatever it is. Being successful is all about the grind, all about the everyday. What are you doing on a daily basis? And are you willing to do things that you won't see the result for quite a while? Oftentimes the result just kind of creeps up on you because you get so ingrained in just doing the daily thing. And then all of a sudden, poof, one day you look up and you're like, well, that was pretty easy. So the first question that Maxwell talks about as it relates to kind of creating this environment, this is the big kind of theme that I've pulled out of this, and hopefully you can relate with it as well. But am I investing in myself? So as it relates to creating that zone, I'm sure everyone can probably attest to, when you're reading a good book or you've listened to a good podcast and it puts you in the right frame of mind, you're asking the right questions, everything's just moving in the right direction. Hopefully this morning is one of those times. If it isn't, I completely understand. However, I'm hopeful that it is. But where are those times that you're investing in yourself? Are you investing in yourself? This is one of our core values, lead ourselves. Well, how are you doing that? How are you leading yourself professionally? How are you leading yourself personally? As I've said, and I think I said it on the last one, one of the areas of leadership that I feel like I've improved in the most, and it took me, probably too long, but is my marriage. Being a leader at home. For me, that's the tough one. Like, when I come in here, like, I'm in the zone. Like, okay, walk in the door. It's time to be a leader. Let's do this. When I walk home, it's like, I'm tired. Leave me alone. I don't want to do the dishes. I want to sit on the couch. Kids, shut up. Maybe go to bed. I don't know. But is that truly a leadership? If I brought that mentality in here, this wouldn't be a real great place to work. So what kind of environment am I creating at home if that's how I act when I'm at home? So those are the things where asking about how I'm investing in myself puts me in that place. Like I'm reading a good book right now. It's called Take the Stairs. And it is basically like a self-help book. Do I need a self-help book? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It's always stuff I can get better at. But it's simply the reiteration of things that I just reiterated to you that I read in that book this morning that I needed to hear. It's good to refresh. Like, I feel good coming in this morning because I read that, or I saw a good quote, or whatever it is. So at the end of the day, and I brought this folder on purpose. So this folder contains every talk that I've ever done. I think we started this in like 18, so it's been a minute. It's kind of crazy to think. I think I did the first one in 18, in November of 18. I don't think I dated these, but This is all of them. Well, you know what? All of this stuff, if I remembered all of this stuff, I'd be one hell of a person, right? But the truth is I don't remember it all, and that's why I keep talking every other week. Probably should talk every week. But at the end of the day, it's not about memorizing all of this information. It's not about me knowing this to a T. Do I know some of it? Yeah, I do. Has some of it stuck? Yes. But it's really a means to put me in that zone. To understand that me doing the work to write all these notes out and then speak it, well, that's an hour of my day, of my week, that I'm in a good spot. Being in this room right now is a good place to be. And so, as you think about investing in yourself, obviously there's a time commitment, right? And everybody is stretched for time. Time seems to be running faster and faster and faster. And, you know, as I was thinking about it this morning, it's like, okay, if you know, family, work, like when do you find time to invest in yourself? When do you do that? Like, it gets tougher and tougher. There's obligations. People got to eat and sleep, and you know, you got to take people here, and so all of a sudden you look up and we're halfway through the year and you haven't picked up a book, listened to a podcast, done anything remotely resembling working on yourself. Because at the end of the day, while work is practice, one might say that you should be putting in a little bit extra outside of your day-to-day, right? So where do you find time for that? So this is where I think, kind of going back to creating that environment, is it's not like you need to set yourself, if I don't read 10 books this year, I didn't work on myself. Don't think like that. Think about, how can I best put myself in an environment where I'm open to learning, where I'm open to working on myself. To me, that's the true key. Like, I listen to so much stuff in the morning. Like, you can't, I have to be careful because I can't hear once I stick that in there. So with a new baby, it's a little bit cumbersome. So it's like one headphone in, listening for crying and yelling and screaming. But just putting myself in that state is where I work on myself, but it gets me asking so many questions. Oh crap, I'm not doing that. Oh, that's a really great idea. I ought to probably do that. Now, do I implement all that stuff? No, I don't. But what I can tell you is when I arrive here, I'm in a good place. Because that information, that surrounding myself, investing in myself, that helps. It helps in whatever it is that you're going to tackle. I've gone into so many conversations ever since I've kind of went on this journey myself, where I feel I can think back to things that I've listened to. It's amazing how you can recall it. Like, oh yeah, probably need to handle this like this. Or, hey, I remember from this. You kind of draw on it when you need it. So the big thing I want you to take out of this is, yes, we always need to be growing. Yes, we always need to be learning. To me, sometimes that feels like, you know, beating a dead horse. We get it. When am I supposed to find time? So I've always erred on a few strategies. I've always erred on consistency is better than, you know, well, I need to do 2 hours a day every day. Guess what you're not going to do? 2 hours a day every day after the first day that you do it. You may get one day in there. I'll give you that. You may get one day in there. But where can you find 20 minutes? Probably everywhere. I can tell you right now, as it relates to investing in myself, I hold myself accountable to working out 20 minutes a day. That's it, 20 minutes. You know why? Because my day gets hectic. And sometimes you don't have time to do it. But what I do know is that if I find that 20 minutes, that's really easy to pull myself up off the couch on a Sunday and go, God, I got to trek on out here to the bike. And I just got to ride for 20 minutes. Just got to jump on, ride. And guess what? That keeps my streak alive. And what happens, what I've seen happen, I think my longest streak is 78 days in a row, but of 20 minutes. So like not 78 days of like 3 hours of working out and like gonna do this thing, like 20 minutes. Like not trying to set any records here, just trying to do it every day. So my new streak, I'm at, what am I at? 7, 5. I did it this morning. I got on the bike at 3:15 this morning, which was good. I was already awake, so hell, might as well get it in. But that, there again, investing in myself, find small increments and just hold yourself accountable to that and work more for the consistency and the streak than it is like, hey, I need to finish this book. Well, as it relates to books, I always do pages. So in a book, I can read about 20 pages in 30, 35 minutes. Is about what it takes me to read 20 pages. Now, depending on the font size, it gets a little bit hairy in there, but go with me on this. But I know that I can do that in about 20, 30 minutes. So, okay, 20, 30 minutes, I can find 20, 30 minutes, and my goal is read 20 pages. Not trying to read a whole book, and not trying to read a book by the end of the month, just trying to read 20 pages. Because guess what you can find in 20 pages? About 13 things to do, which you're not going to end up doing them all. So, hell, make it 10 pages and pull one thing out and do it. So start small. The investment in yourself, the great thing about it is that very few people are doing it. So 20 minutes will skyrocket you past everybody. Damn near. Really, honestly, 20 minutes a day. Do something. Work out. Read a book. Listen to something. Listening to something is probably the easiest. I mean, most of you guys probably drive 20 minutes to work. But make that commitment. If you leave with anything today, leave with, I think I could do 20 minutes. Shoot, start with 10 and see how long of a streak you can build. If you focus on the streak and not the goal of, well, I got to finish this book, or I got to do this, or I got to do that, focus on the streak. Because what I'm telling you is that in that 78 days, there were probably 7 in there that I did not want to do it. And there were probably 4 in there that those workouts were a little bit less than stellar, I will tell you. Like the pedaling on the bike was awfully slow. Like, all right, 10 minutes in, haven't broke a sweat yet. Need to pick it up a smidge so that at least when I walk back inside, it looks like I did something out here in the garage. But there again, I got my 20 minutes in. Last Sunday, as part of my streak, I did not want to pull myself, I was telling Steve this, I didn't want to pull myself up off the ground. Well, my daughter was running around crazy. I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to hold you, and she trained me. So we did air squats together, and she told me how to do push-ups. So we did that for 20 minutes. Got it done. She enjoyed it. And I'll tell you what, side note, if you want a great trainer, 3-year-olds, phenomenal, because they don't listen to a damn thing. So when you say, hold on, honey, gotta breathe, they don't listen. 1, 2, 3, daddy, go. No, I gotta breathe. 1, 2, 3, daddy, go. I'm breathing. Hold on. We got to take a break here. So phenomenal trainers. They're relentless. So that's a funny story as an aside. But at the kind of wrapping up this question as we talk is, am I investing in myself? I think this is the one thing that I see people with aspiration but no action. This is the action part. We've got people all around this building that have aspiration to do things. However, will they be willing to put in the work? What I'm here to tell you is you don't have to put in a ton every day. You literally just have to be consistent about it, because you will beat everybody else. If everybody in this room takes that, we'll be that much better. You'll skyrocket past everybody, because it will be noticeable. Because everybody else is stuck in neutral, and you may be in first gear, but don't try to go into 6th gear and run past them all. Like, you're not going to read 45 books this year. When I hear people say that, I'm like, I couldn't find the time to read 45. How fast do you read? Like, that's incredible. But if you just stick it in first gear, guess what? First gear will get you a hell of a lot farther than the person that's in neutral, because they ain't going nowhere. So get out of neutral, even if it is first gear. Next up, am I genuinely interested in others? So this is an interesting one, right? So we're talking about questions we ask ourselves, and we're going to ask ourselves, are we interested in others? So we just got done talking about all about our own personal development. But what we know, and what I've talked about multitudes of times, is that helping others will get us to where we want to go, regardless of position. This is the one thing that I think, outside of the 20 minutes a day, which is kind of our theme of this talk, what can you do to help someone today? Do you realize that as it relates to leadership, as it relates to growth, and Maxwell says it, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Do you realize the influence you would have if you picked 2 people to help a day? Just really went out of your way to say, there again, start small, maybe one person. And keep a journal. Just write down who you helped and how you helped them. But what would that do to your influence around this building? What would that do to your influence out in the field? What if you showed up at your first call, and I've told, Lucas has heard this before, whenever I lead a service meeting, all I say is, guys, here's the deal. We usually end at 8, and I say, guys, here's the deal. I want you to show up. I want you to drive to your first call. I want you to put everything away. I want you to focus on that customer, and I want you to show up at that door ready to wow the shit out of them. Like, what does that look like? If you show up genuinely, like, you are going to have to kick me out of your home because I am going to help you. You have to let me help you. I'm helping you in some way, shape, or form when I come in here. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to build rapport. I'm going to build trust. I'm going to build everything with you because I am genuinely concerned about you, the issue that you had me out here for, and I know I can fix it. And I'm going to show you that. And if I don't, then that's on me, not on you. What would that look like? Now, that's hard to do on every call, right? Because you're going to show up, and there's going to be some rude people, and there's going to be some people having bad days, and so on and so forth, and whatever it is. But what would that look like if you showed up like that? What would that look like if you showed up for someone on your team like that today? You made a concerted effort, and you said, you know what? They don't know it, but I'm coming for them today. I'm coming to help them come hell or high water. I know they're struggling, or I know that they've mentioned this to me in the past, but I am not leaving you. You are not leaving this building until we both agree that I've helped you today. Now, you don't have to have that conversation, obviously. That would be weird, okay? But what if that was your internal talk? What if that was the question you asked yourself as a leader today? What would this place look like if everybody decided to do that? If everybody showed up and everybody in the back of their mind had someone that they were going to help today, someone that they were going to make an impact on. Try this with your spouse. I talk about myself growing as a leader at home. When I wake up in the morning and make the conscious decision to be the best husband in the world, it is amazing what my actions look like. When I wake up and feel sorry for myself and think I'm tired and why are you asking another question? Leave me alone. I'm fine. I've got it. It's good. It's not a good result. Think about the times that we show up like that in front of our customer or in front of someone that we're supposed to be leading. There again, I get it, it's hard. But what would success look like? What would your day look like? What would you look like? How would you internalize that if you showed up at that level of concern for another? I can tell you if you can do it consistently, it's going to look really, really good. Success will find you. People will be attracted to you. I'm glad we covered this. That is something that I think we all need a constant reminder of, because it's very easy to think about ourselves on a daily basis. It's very easy to just kind of sit down, do our job, figure it out. So-and-so, oh God, they're struggling again. Here we go, another day. Or if we come with that energy to help. Number 3, am I doing what I love and loving what I do? So as Maxwell says, this is a passion question. Are there things that we do around here that would be very, very difficult to generate some passion for? Yes. Yeah, 100%. There are things that I don't enjoy doing. There are things that you guys probably don't enjoy doing on a daily basis. Probably not going to have a whole lot of passion for that. Angry customers, tough conversations, reports that are due by the end of the month, or this, that, or the other, whatever it may be. But what if we looked at it from the perspective of what we just talked about? What if we looked at what we have to do as service to others? Can we get passionate about that? Can we get passionate about helping other people? I think I could. Think about it, okay, if I get, like we talked about just a second ago, if I really bring that energy for someone, I'm going to probably feel good inside. That's going to fill me up with some, hey, I did a good job, and that's okay. We can feel a little bit of internal gratitude for, just helping someone out. But how are they going to feel? Probably much the same, I would think. If you really come from a place of care and compassion and really want to help them. So can we get passionate and simply direct that towards others? Then we can get really passionate about everything we do in our life. I talk a lot about the kind of, one of the things that's brought up, and I think I've talked about this before, is kind of, people talk about work-life balance. I'm kind of, I heard this one time, I can't remember who said it, but kind of like work-life purpose. If you can be doing the same thing essentially at work as you are at home, like things are going to be really good. Like you're going to be in a really good spot. It's when we have to go to work and we're not super passionate about it because we're not doing it for the right reasons, and then we got to go home and like turn off that switch and then turn on the switch about like really caring about our family. That's when we get the two are all mixed up, and it's really weird, and you can't be two people, you can only be one person. So how do we just be one person all the time? Where I have found that alignment is to direct all my actions towards others. To honestly come in every day and ask myself the question, how can I help someone today? And I can get really passionate about that. I'm not super passionate about air conditioners and water heaters. I'm not. They're cool. And if someone tells me they're passionate about air conditioners and water heaters, really? Really? Are you? Seems weird. Seems awfully weird that you're passionate about a piece of mechanical equipment. So, or are you passionate about helping people who need help with water heaters and air conditioners? My guess would be the latter. But it's identifying that as to what am I actually doing on a daily basis? Am I actually doing accounting? Am I actually doing plumbing? Am I actually doing recruiting? Am I actually doing sales? Or am I actually helping somebody? If you choose the former, what I can tell you is that there's going to be probably things like burnout, lack of passion, kind of disinterest. But if you choose the latter, helping someone, has anyone ever helped somebody and felt bad about it? I mean, there may be like a really random example, but we're going to leave that there. The majority of the time, when you help somebody, you don't feel bad about it. You feel good. You generate passion. You want to do it again. So how do we, again, as I said in the beginning, how do we create that environment? Well, we create that environment by the questions that we ask ourselves. What am I truly doing? Why am I truly doing this? I'm passionate about helping people. That is the thing that I am passionate about in this business. One, we get to play in an industry where passion for people and doing all of that is sometimes in low demand. So we get to hopefully be the beacon of, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to stand behind what we do. We're going to do it to the best of our ability and we're going to do everything 100%. So that's cool. We get to build a cool team, a cool building, all this stuff, but it's because we put others first that we are successful. People don't buy from us. They buy from us because they trust us that like, hey, yeah, these guys do care about what's going on here. Because we showed a passion for helping them. That's why people want to come here and work. It's because hopefully everybody in this building is showing a passion for helping somebody. Giving them a hand. Hey, what do you need help with, man? I got you. No worries. Yeah, we used to do it like that, but we do it like this now. Okay, awesome. Great. Good. Let's move forward. Think about the environment that you're creating by what it is that you see yourself truly doing. I know that's hard, but I'm telling you, it's the key. If you can see that, see through all of the clutter, all of the system and all of the, the measurements and the airflow and the, how are we going to get this water heater out of here and all of these things, if we can see through all of that and just look the customer dead in the eye and go, you know what, regardless of the situation, I'm going to find you all the right answers and we are going to take care of you like you've never been taken care of before. Because that's what I'm in the business of doing. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, tell me what we need to do. I'm in. Question 4. We may make it through 6. We may get through 6. Am I investing my time with the right people? So this is an interesting one and one that I've really learned a lot about here recently, and really tried to capitalize on it, which is really good. So as it relates to an environment and it relates to people, who are you surrounding yourself with? Right? Are you surrounding yourself with negative people? Are you surrounding yourself with people who there's always a problem, the sky is falling? Or are you finding the right people to put around yourself? From a mental outlook perspective, and then also from a learning perspective. Are you hanging out with people that are smarter than you? Are you reaching out to people that have done things that you haven't done, that may have answers? What I can tell you is that if you reach out to those people in service of them, finding out how you can help them, they will help you. One of my, and I think I've told this story before as it relates to spending time with the right people. Back in November of 2018, we had the opportunity to visit a company in Charlotte that was at the time going to do about $70 million in revenue or something like that, just a massive company. At the time, we were like not that big, like 60 people big. And this gentleman allowed us to come down, spent hours with us, had no reason to do this. Like, he was not going to probably learn anything from me. Like, dude, we've been there, done that about 5 years ago. Okay, cool, awesome. So I just soaked it up for what it was. We flew in that day, flew out that afternoon, quick trip, but a valuable one. And what I said to myself as I left there is how, and understanding this principle. Someone had taught me this, and I said, okay, I want his number in my phone. That's kind of how I think nowadays. I need his number in my phone so that I can text him, and he's going to text me back. Okay, so how am I going to do that? Well, if I think about all these other principles, I've got to somehow find a way to provide value. If I just always am texting him, asking him questions, like, he's going to get really annoyed of me, like, real quick. So I said, okay, well, what do I know how to do that he may not know how to do? Not a whole lot here. So I thought to myself, okay, well, what if I just sent him books? Yeah, kind of creepy when you first think about it, but maybe it'll work. So anytime I would read a good book, I'd send him a copy. Hey, just thought you'd enjoy this. I read it. I know that you guys were doing this and that when we visited. Figured you may be able to get something out of it. So I sent this guy books for like a year. Didn't ask him a single question. But it was all from a perspective of, I know I need to surround myself. I need to be around this person because he is smarter than I, and he has done things that I want to do but am not there yet. So I'm going to need his advice along the way. Guess what? He'll text me back. I had an hour-long phone conversation with him last Monday. Just catching up, seeing how his kids were doing, seeing how things were going this year, talking about things. He taught me probably 7 things on the phone call. Things to think about, things that they're thinking about right now that we're not thinking about because we don't have to due to our size, but we will have to think about at some point in time. Well, that's good to know right now, so maybe I can get ahead of that one. But there again, who are those people you're surrounding yourself with? I am not an extrovert by any stretch of the imagination. Those of you who know me know that I am a very reserved. I'll just be off here hanging out, doing whatever. So when it came time to living out this question and really fulfilling that, hey, how am I going to get around those people? It was not great. I am not Steve over here. I am, he'll reach out and talk to anybody, Mayor Plainfield. I can't do that. That's not comfortable to me. I don't like it. But there are ways to find yourself with the right people. And that way is coming from a place of, how do I provide you value? So think about the 4 or 5 people that could really benefit you if they were in your circle. If you were talking to them on a, not daily basis, no one does that, but just a regular basis, having conversation, doing whatever it is. How could you do that? I can tell you that I have done this by first providing value to them. And you got to get creative sometimes. It may mean sending them books. But guess what? It worked. People always, I'm sure people wonder why we're so open around here to sharing things. Well, I gave a tour to a company that is, I'm going to do some quick math here, maybe a 5th our size. So one would think if they come in here, I spent 3-4 hours with them, guess what? They're coming back in at the end of next month to train our electricians on how to run electrical calls. Because they do it better than we do. We just started, but they've been doing it for a while, 20 years a while. So they know what they're doing. Well, I would have never had that resource had I shut down and said, there's no value there. So they did kind of the reverse. I think they've had 2 people here. They had their marketing guy here yesterday. They had their install manager here earlier. Yeah, come on by, check it out. Well, what he did is he offered up his services to come train our people. Yeah, let's trade stuff. Let's do this. Let's surround ourselves with the right people. And what I can tell you is that when you surround yourself with the right people, you will learn an immense amount. So as it relates to what you do, who are those people that you need to surround yourself? Think big. Think really big. Because guess what? There's a way to them. There's a way to getting in front of them. If you really sit down and put a plan to it, you can get in front of that person. You can talk to them. As it relates to sales, who are the best sales guys in this industry? What are they doing? I know Steve talked to one of the guys. We heard him on a podcast. He reached out to him via email. Hell, we had a 45-minute conversation with the guy. He's doing like $13 million a year. It's absurd. Well, hey, what are you doing, man? What's going on? Well, there again, just reaching out, surrounding yourself with those people, creating that presence. Create those relationships. You don't have to be best friends, but it's good to touch base with them. I've got a group of people that I talk to, probably other Nexstar members, probably 5 or 6 of them a week, like just either text message or phone call or whatever it is, just to, hey, what's going on? One of my buddies they're a powerhouse plumber over in Columbus. They're starting up HVAC. Hey man, I need to know what to do. Okay, perfect. Well, we could probably shed some light on that. Appreciate it. He sent me a document, we sent them one, whatever. We traded. Think about how you can surround yourself with the right people, because that's going to put you in the right frame of mind. That's going to create that environment. I'll tell you the other thing that it creates is a little bit of that competition in your head. Oh, shoot, we're really doing some good things. Well, I want to do some good things too. I don't want to get on this call and say we suck. So hey, I'm going to go do some stuff. So there's a little bit of peer pressure in there, built in. That's all right. That's good sometimes. Good peer pressure. Thinking about my daughter right now. I'm like, God, blessed peer pressure. I can't wait. It'll be a fun conversation one day. Let my wife handle that one. All right. Number 5. We may finish up on this one. We'll do 5 and 5. We got about 12 minutes. Number 5, am I staying in my strength zone? So this is an interesting one, and one that, I think there's a lot of debate on, whether we develop our weaknesses or develop our strengths. And I don't know really where I stand on this. I kind of see both sides, but as it relates to staying in your strength zone, so obviously Maxwell is a believer to stay in your strength zone. He has a quote in here from Samuel Johnson. Almost every man wastes part of his life in attempts to display qualities which he does not possess. Okay, I can relate to that. So, where is your strength zone? Where are you strong? Where can you be spending your time? So I think this is interesting, and from a leadership perspective, I think this relates a lot to understanding your team. Where are their strengths? I always look at it as there's so many times, and we're just as guilty as anybody with this, but there's so many times when we put out a position with a job description and we want to try to recruit this person and plug them into that hole, fit them into there. You need to do all these things. And oftentimes, really good ones, yeah, they'll be good at most of it, but I can tell you that most job descriptions, hell, even mine, there's a couple of things in there I ain't great at. I'm getting her done, doing what I need to do to fulfill my obligation, but there's things on there that you're not great at. It's okay. but where are you really good? How could you double down on that? And as a leader, how do you identify the strengths of those on your team? How do you understand that this guy is terrible with this? Maybe we don't make him do that. Maybe he does this over here instead. Or maybe you need to be in a different role. Or maybe we can tailor the role a little bit so that it does fit your strength zone. And I think that this is important as it relates to a question we ask ourselves, is to understand where those are. To have that open dialogue with your manager or with yourself, whatever it is, what are those things you're struggling on? What are those things that you're not good at? My wish is that we have an environment here where it's okay to say that I'm not good at something. Like, it's pretty clear, trust me. Like, if you're not good at something, and you're being asked to do it, guess what? They probably see it. There's no need to sugarcoat it. No need to kind of dance around it, because what dancing around it goes is like, are they really not seeing this? Like, this is like pretty blatantly obvious here that this is not their strength zone. So as a leader, how do I get them in there? And then from a personal perspective, leadership on our own, how do I get in my strength zone, feel comfortable there, and then also understand where my weaknesses are? So I always think about this, and this is one thing, I think I've talked about this before, or I may have just said it on something, the DISC profile. So we do a lot of work with DISC, right? And the DISC points out where our strengths are. It kind of pinpoints us into, are you a D, are you an I, are you an S, are you a C? And so with that is related strengths. And then if you read further on in the report, there's also weaknesses where you're not good. And so where we've made, I think, an error, and one that I think that we can correct and that will lead to a lot better communication, I think. And this comes both sides. So this comes from manager and then also, person being led as it relates to the org chart. Understanding where you are on there. What we often do is we go straight to the strengths page, right? Flipping through that. What am I good at? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yep. That's me. Nailed it on the head. Everybody else, you suck. I'm awesome. I got all these things going for me. I'm, hard driver. I've got all this. Whatever it may be, we always, always, always celebrate the strengths of the DISC profile. Our strength zone, right? It's natural. You want a group, we could probably break this room up into all the D's and all the I's be hanging out together, and the S's and the C's, and doing their thing, and really, talking about how bad everybody else is and how they can't figure this out, and we're awesome, and we've got all the answers over here. But part of understanding where your strength zone is having a really, really good understanding of where your weaknesses are. Really understanding where you're going to come up short as it relates to other people's understanding. So, stated another way, what if we, when looking for our strength zone, really started to illuminate our weak zones? Really started to just put those on display. Not that we need to work on them. Like, if you're not detail-oriented, guess what you're never going to be? Detail-oriented. Like, there's not a class for that, all right? There's not if we keep training, by God, he is going to be super detailed here next year. Not going to happen. Ever. It's not going to happen. Like me, for instance, I'm a C personality. Not going to be an I, going to be fun, doing all these crazy things next year. Ain't happening. Sorry, this ain't going to happen. Not. Won't. They've been trying to coax me. Not going to happen. You won't see me dancing at a wedding and singing, doing karaoke. Ain't doing it. No, it's not me. I don't feel that. It ain't my game. I'll be sitting over at the table talking to somebody or doing something like that. And talking's kind of even a stretch. So if we know that we're not going to get there, there's no real reason to work on it, right? I mean, no real reason. If I'm not detail-oriented, probably shouldn't work on just being more detail-oriented. I don't know how you do that. I've seen many people fail at it. So if we illuminate our weaknesses and have that conversation with those that we're working with, and we understand where theirs are, think about the communication level. Think about how much you're going to get through to that person. If you know that they're a C and their weaknesses are here, well, how do we work around those? You know, how do we get to the end, the result, in a way that they'll get there? And also understanding from your own perspective, your own weaknesses, putting them out there. Hey, I'm not real good at this. This is where I struggle. So if that in any way, you know, gets in your way of being successful, like call me on it. Like I'm good with that. Like just, hey, this isn't detailed at all. Like I don't really even know where we're going. And you told me that you weren't super detail oriented. So like, can we like have a conversation or like sit down and like figure this out? Yeah, sure. Rock on. Rather than what usually happens. Oh my God, this guy, like figure out the details. Like, I don't understand. Like, and you just get so frustrated. Well, you're getting frustrated about something that they're never going to be. How crazy is that when you think about it like that? You're getting frustrated over something that they can't be. That's not who they are. You can't be more of something you're not. You can be more of who you are, and more of who you are directed in the right way can be a really, really powerful thing. Because that's where we're going to grow. We're going to grow ultimately in our strength zone. So as a leader, can we take a step back? Whether it's leading yourself or leading a team, can we take a step back and understand where are we weak? Where are we not great? I can tell you, I'll finish up with this personal example just because I talked to this person this week and it made me kind of happy. So at the end of last year, we moved Christy into the operations manager. So before that, I was kind of like trying to do both, sort of, kind of, and with the help of other people and stuff like that. Well, I kind of looked at my skill set and where is my talents best used? And what I uncovered was that as it relates to operations and like getting stuff done, getting change implemented, that's not me. And I think it was natural given the role, and you know, just when you're a smaller company, everybody does everything. You just kind of pitch in, do all that stuff. But as you get bigger, you got to kind of have a defined role, and you know, you're moving the ball all together and all of that. And I read a book, and it kind of illuminated like, hey, your talent is best used here. So I wrote myself out a new job description. I said, okay, what am I good at? I need to do those things. What am I not so great at? I need to probably do less of those things. And so, like you think I'm kidding, I literally have my job. I wrote out my job description and put it on my computer so that I knew what I needed to be doing and what I didn't need to be doing. And so I knew that Christy was really good at those things, so I said, you go do those things. I'm going to stay out of your way. Literally, I will ask permission if I want to put my input, or if you ask me, I'll give you my input. Other than that, it's you, run with it, do your thing. So that was at the end of last year. This year, we're on pace to like double our best year ever. Like double our best year ever. Why is that? Well, I think a lot of it, nothing like mind-blowing on my end, but just finding my strength zone, right? Like getting in that and then putting someone who's really strong, putting them in that place And when you find somebody who's really strong at something, if they can do more of what they're really good at, good things happen. I talked to her this week on Monday or Tuesday, and she said, I love what I do so much more than what I did before. And I go, yes, because you are a change maker. Like, in her previous role, she could point out changes all day long that needed to be made. Like, that ain't right, that ain't right, that ain't right, that's not good, that's really not good, that's decent, keep going, whatever. But she couldn't push it over the goal line. Well, now we're feeding her information and she can go get it. That's her strength. That's where she's good. And it took me, this is my 10-year anniversary, it took me 10 years to figure that out. So, hey, if you're struggling with it, it does take us a little bit of time sometimes, but I'll get there, by golly. But no, I think all of it, as I tell that story, is really being honest with yourself, I think, is the key to all of this. Being honest with yourself. Are you working on yourself? Are you truly in it to help others? Who are you surrounding yourself with to create the environment that you need to be successful? That's different people for all different people. Are you staying in your strength zone? Do you know where you are most effective? And are you doing what you love? Get really clear on what it is that you do on a daily basis. What I can tell you is it's probably not going to be on your job description. It's what your tasks ultimately do. And if they serve others, you're going to be in a really good spot. That's 5. We made it through 5. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll cover the other 5 at another time. Thank you.